And now on the line is Aileen Eglington. Aileen is the chair of Dublin South FM and is also a long-time presenter on the station. Aileen, good afternoon and welcome to Near FM.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to be on another station other than Dublin South FM. It's great.
Alright, cool. Aileen, I got in touch with you for this interview to mainly talk about your big anniversary, as Dublin South FM were 30 years old this year, and I know that you marked your anniversary last week. This might be a big question, Aileen, but leading us up to talking about your anniversary, can you start off please by telling me a bit about the history and evolution of Dublin South FM and of your own personal involvement with the station?
Of course, and it's a very exciting time for us, but we have one person to thank particularly, and that person is Mike Purcell. Mike Purcell, together with some other community radio enthusiasts, actually founded Dublin South FM in the general Dundrum area 30 years ago. And it's his passion for radio and for community that has kept the station alive over the years. And it originally started, it had various different iterations. It was based in Dundrum, it was based in around Stillorg and Dundrum. Then famously it was based in the Pie building. So for those of you who might have older listeners who are listening, the Pie building was around where just going up the Sandyford Road, and in fact that is now where Dundrum Town Centre is built. Ah. So we were very lucky because 20 years ago the town centre was completed, and I think we're very lucky because it was the far-seeing nature of Dún Laoghaire-Rathdown County Council at the time, who says that when the planning permission was being granted for Dundrum Town Centre, that there had to be a community radio station, a theatre, citizens' advice and adult learning in the centre. So we're now in the centre nearly 18 years, 17 years. We were in the centre since 2007, when all the offices became ready. And the Mill Theatre are 20 years there next year. And Citizens Advice and the DDL ETB are sharing offices with us. So we're very lucky people, thanks to, as I said, to Mike Purcell's vision and also to the council's vision, that we have such a lovely home up on the 5th floor of Dundrum Town Centre.
Yeah, that's cool. Is Mike Purcell still alive, is he?
Well, not only alive, but firing on all cylinders. He's still doing a programme every week, and he's still on our board of management, and he's just a fantastic guy. And in fact, last week we did an outside broadcast. We were very lucky. The council sponsored us to do the outside broadcast last week, and Dundrum Town Centre gave us permission to do it right in the middle of the shopping centre, and Mike was the first person we interviewed. So we're delighted. Sure, he's everlasting, we think.
And I was looking at the station's website yesterday, and Jack Bourne, who was the main person who set up Near FM, he helped Mike, didn't he? I believe in the 80s.
He did, yeah. I never knew him at all. I met the previous manager in the station. I was in the station 12 years ago. For the first time, I had heard about it, but I hadn't been in there. And I was in there 12 years ago, got on very well with the then manager, Tina. And I am involved in an awful lot of things local in Dún Laoghaire-Rathdown, and I'm also a travel expert. So she asked me, would I start up a travel programme? So 12 years later, my travel programme, Destination Anywhere, is still going. And Joan Scales, the travel expert, and John Spollen, who's also a travel expert, they do the programme a lot as well. So it's a great for me, great for the station, and it's just great to see that continuity.
Okay, we come back in a couple of minutes to talk about your programme, if that's okay. But just before that, as I was telling you a couple of days ago, Aileen, I was in your station's old headquarters in Rathfarnham a few times around 20
Yeah.
years ago. My friend, I don't know if you know him, David Quinn, I think it was a CE scheme he was doing, and I met Mary Napier back then and a guy, Tony Lynham. I don't know, is Tony still around, is he?
I haven't heard that name at all. Mary Napier is still around,
Okay.
and she isn't in the station, but she's always very supportive of anything going on in the station.
Oh.
And also, I think one of the things, and you touched on the thing about the employment schemes, we're very, very well supported by the two schemes and the CE schemes, because like other community radio stations, we don't unfortunately have funding from Pobble, which is a nuisance. It's kind of annoying. But we rely on our staffing for the CE and the two schemes. And if we didn't have those, we'd be really stuck. But we have a huge amount of staff in there from the schemes, as well as all our volunteers.
So do you say you're the only station who's not funded by Pobble?
There's only a couple of us. We had Pobble funding some years ago, and we needed to get it back again, and we applied for Pobble funding, and they told us they weren't really supporting community radio too much anymore. And that's a real difficult one for us, and we're trying to talk to various people about it. And really, there's nothing else out there apart from the employment schemes. That's all there is.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that. Like, whoever funds most of the stations, like currently, I don't know who funds Near FM now, but I'd imagine that they'd be obliged, because you're a well-known station for a long time.
No. Yeah, and it's a matter of some. We're very irked by it, because we would love to give some full-time jobs out there, as well as the CE and the two schemes. So it's something we're working on at the moment, because we've got our new 10-year licence, and we're very proud of that, because we worked very hard to get it with Commission Naman. So this is the next stage for us. We really need to get some Pobble funding back.
I'm very surprised to hear what you're telling me. I'll come back to you again and talk about it maybe in the future if it's not sorted out.
Yeah, sure.
I haven't as yet visited yourselves in Dundrum Shopping Centre, but it must have been a big change for yourselves to go from being based where you were in Rathfarnham to being based in Dundrum. Was it, Aileen?
Well, I can't answer that question. That's probably one for Mike Purcell. But what I do know what's happened over the years is we have been very lucky to get some funding, particularly from DLR County Council, and especially during COVID. And we did have some good equipment, but thanks to the grants we've got from the council, because like yourselves, we are community radio, we have managed to do a huge amount of work in upgrading all our studios, and we now have studios and a podcast studio that are as good as anything around Dublin at the moment, in our terms anyway. And so we'd love you to visit and see what we're doing there, because we get a lot of support locally, and if it wasn't for that, we couldn't keep the doors open.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that. Do you have a well-resourced station? You're telling me you do, because I was only ever in the Dundrum Shopping Centre. I think it was once, and I think it has a very affluent shopping centre reputation, doesn't it?
Well, it does. It's the largest shopping centre in the country, and probably Dundrum Town Centre alone is one of the biggest ratepayers in the county. So it does carry weight within the county. And we're very, very, very lucky to be in there and to have the resources we have and to be open for all the community, because we've some great things. Like we're still not Flahulach, shall we say, and we don't have enough funding to employ people on a sort of a full-time basis. But we're holding our head above water, and that's what we're trying to do. And we have some great people coming in to do programs. I know Martha Lynham, who's on the board. She was the mayor of Dundrum. She does an amazing program called Down Memory Lane. As I said, Mike still does a program. And what's really interesting is we're doing a lot of diverse programs at the moment in different languages, so it kind of reflects our new communities. And Yeah, I think there's a lovely atmosphere in there.
Can you tell me, Aileen, because this is something I'm curious about, does Dublin South FM broadcast across all of South Dublin or to certain regions, or what's the story?
Well, now that's an interesting question at the moment, because from a transmitter perspective, our license allows us to broadcast in a 5 kilometre radius from Dundrum Sound Centre, but that has changed by the fact that we're online, we have a website, and people can get the station when they're on their phone or on their PC. So I think, from that perspective, I think it has changed. We would like to reach right down to the whole of Dún Laoghaire. At the moment we can't, because the signal for Lyric FM comes in down around the coast. But we would like to do more on that. But as I said, people can tune in on their radio app on their phones. They can tune in the car. They can tune in if they're at home working. So, with the 93.9 FM, we're lucky that we're getting more and more listeners, and they're tuning in different ways. You know that yourself. People have different options now for how they listen to radio and how they tune in.
I'm delighted to hear you telling me you have a diverse range of programs. I was looking at the schedule on your website yesterday, and you, including yourself, you have a travel program. You must enjoy traveling in general to have the program, I suppose. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Like as I said, our programming is very diverse. I mean, one of my favourite programs in there is the Men's Shed program. We were the first community radio station in Ireland to have the Men's Sheds on. So we have the Ballantyre and Dundrum guys from the Men's Sheds, and they're fantastic. And like, it's such a skill to give to somebody in the community to be able to have the confidence to come in and research and present a programme and do it every week. But I love it myself. I love radio. I get to work in radio a lot, with RTE and Nova and all sorts of different people in my job. And I love travel as well, because that's part of my job. So it's so easy for me and for Joan Scales and John Spallin, the three of us, to go in and talk about travel all the time. And we have a lively programme every Monday.
And yeah, that's great. And you're saying there you have a few different language programs. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, yeah, we do. We have an Indian program. We have a Spanish one. We have done some Portuguese programming as well with the Brazilian community. And we have an Italian language program through the Italian Cultural Institute as well. So I think that gives real diversity, and it just shows, and we have had a Polish program on before, and we do some Irish language as well. So it's great to see that, because, as I said, it does reflect our changing communities.
You're saying there, like, you broadcast in Dún Laoghaire, Rathdown. Like, is your catchment area just kind of within that council, or are there some parts of South Dublin and Dublin City Council where you would happen to be broadcast on also?
It's funny. It just depends. One of the benefits we have in the area, but also one of the restrictions, is the Three Rock, because all the TV and radio masts are up on the Three Rock. So it just depends what end of the Three Rock you are. So we can broadcast into Rathfarnham, but where our huge catchment area would be Ballantyre, Dundrum, Clonskee, Kilmacud, Stillorgan, right up to Sandyford, Ballyogan. And, that area, Dún Laoghaire is one of the fastest growing areas in the country at the moment with all the new houses. That area is fast growing, and we'd love to see maybe the radius to increase maybe to 7 kilometres would be great. But as I said, people are picking it up online as well.
I know online is brilliant for community radio in general, media in general. But like, I do most for the last several years. I do most, not all, but most of my interviews for Nair FM from home. And I email.
Oh, really?
I email it to the station. Email the files to the station. Yeah, so it's great.
Yeah.
Like,
we have a great.
Go on,
yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say Peter Rice, who was our station manager, has just been fantastic because through COVID, through all the grads, through everything, he has kept the whole station together and all the volunteers and all the presenters. And we've some good podcasts as well. But I think one of the other things that has been great for us is we have a very close relationship with the council, but we also have a very close relationship with the PPN, with the Public Participation Network. So DLR PPN, which represents all the community groups in the county. They do a programme every month called Community Connection, and I think it's something that all the other community radio stations should look at. So we bring community groups who have a message or an event on or whatever, and we bring them in and get them to talk every month. And I think that's a really good idea.
That's a great idea, yeah. Okay, Aileen, it's great talking today. Just one more question before we finish up. It's great talking to you on the RFM today. Just looking forward over the rest of the year, Aileen, and of course marking your anniversary in the station as well. Can you tell me if yourselves have any big or interesting new plans for the rest of the year?
Well, we do, because I'm going to start a new business program later on in the year. Oh. And because we have a thriving business community in Dunleary Rathdown, but also a lot of businesses that kind of reflect community and reflect support of the community, and we'll be working with the DLR Chamber of Commerce on that as well. And we're also hoping to bring a book program on stream again. We used to have a very good book program, and we're hoping to bring that back soon. So you have to keep being innovative, and you have to keep giving the consumer what they want and giving the community what they want. So, we'd like to get some more on young people's and on sport as well. So you have to keep trying and you have to keep changing.